You are good. So good morning, I am out for my run and it was expected to be really stormy this morning and really wet, but actually at the moment it is not too bad. I've got a bit of rain on my glasses and a bit out of breath. I'm about 10 miles in, but I wanted to do something a little bit different today. I was going to do a review, but my brother's off work today, so I couldn't actually take one of his fragrances to review. So I thought I'd go back to sort of some of the things I said I was going to do this year. And one of the ones I said about was trying to use sort of fragrances for good, and I'm still in the process of thinking how I can do that. Obviously I started this channel as a fitness thing, that's why I'm out running, and obviously fundraising I like doing for causes, but I decided this year I'm not going to do a fundraiser for charities because as much as I really love doing it, charities, they take a physical toll, they take a lot of time as well. When you've got work commitments, it's not always the easiest thing, and I think expecting people to give you money all the time is quite a lot. You know, you can't expect people to always donate, and I think it's just good to try and find the right thing at the right time rather than just do something for the sake of doing it. So what I thought I'd look at today is looking at certain brands and stuff they've done, good things that certain companies have done, whether it's shops, whether it's actual, you know, designers, clone houses, whatever, you know, awards companies. Essentially, what have they done for the good of the world, really? And actually, I did a bit of research. I got obviously ChatGPT on the case to try and find some info for me, and I managed to find 5 companies, 5 brands, 5 sort of fragrances that have done good things in the past for wider causes, whether that's cancer causes, Alzheimer's, or just general things for like animal rights. So what we're going to do, we're going to go into that one today while I do my workout. So I'm still planning to do my usual workout, hopefully walk to the gym if it doesn't rain, and we'll just talk about them one by one. So yeah, I'm going to do the first one while I'm out on my run. Okay, so the first one we're going to look at today, as you would have just seen, fragrance I sprayed is Lush. I know a lot of you come and watch my reviews for Lush because they are a brilliant, brilliant brand. And something they're brilliant for is quality and sustainability. They are very much worried about, you know, human causes. You look on the back of their bottles, a lot of their products are vegan. I think pretty much all of them are vegan. And in terms of like the ingredients they use, they try and use as much natural ingredients as they can and make them self-preserving as much as they can as well. And that's something I really like. Now, something I've been critical of them about is the fact they have removed a lot of their packaging. So when you tend to buy things like soaps and stuff, they just come in like a full wrap. And of course, in terms of them lasting, they don't last as well. But what I do like, they have an initiative where if you bring back 5 plastic pots, rather than obviously throwing them in waste, you get a free face mask. And I think that's a brilliant initiative. That's an initiative they've still got going on. I think you can also get some money back from them if you bring 5 back. So it's up to you whichever one you choose. But I think that's a really good initiative and something we can all get behind. That, you know, they're trying to do the right thing as much as they can. But one thing they did, and I believe this was in 2020, and I think they still sell these, but they have something called this charity pot. And essentially it was like a £1, £1.50 little, like a little soap, I believe. It's very small, like the size of a pound coin. And it was always really good because it's something you could add to your basket at the end. Sometimes, you know, when you're like £2 off or £1 off free delivery, you think, oh, I just want to throw something in. But then whenever it's like £20, you know, it's not worth it. They do this like little £1.50 thing. And essentially, if you bought that £1, all the proceeds from that pound went to animal protection charities. Now again, I still think they do that. Again, they don't test on animals. They make a huge point against, you know, they're against animal cruelty. And it's just a brilliant initiative. Again, they support local charities at grassroots level that are out there doing these works, doing these projects to protect animals and wildlife. And that's something I'm all for. I used to sponsor a chimpanzee at Monkey World in Dorset because I used to love all the programs, and they rehabilitate, you know, chimpanzees, gibbons, all those sorts of things. And it's amazing to see some of the work they do when you watch those programs. So for a company like Lush that's doing, you know, products which maybe in the past have been tested on animals before they've been used for human consumption, I think that's brilliant. So fair play to Lush. They do get quite political with some of their things, and I think that can be counterproductive at times. But these little charity pot sort of tokens, which obviously I'll show you on the screen, I think it's a great initiative, and again, I think everyone can get behind that, because I think we all feel very strongly about animal cruelty. So anything that can protect them, anything where we can raise extra funds for these small charities that are doing great work that we don't always see, well done to them. So the first one I wanted to praise today is Lush. We're going to go on to Joe Malone next. Okay, so run done. I've kept the rain on my glasses just to prove to everyone that I have actually been out there and haven't been taking it too easy today. I did have a nice easy one. But I said Joe Malone would be next. Joe Malone. I've never had a Joe Malone fragrance. I think my mum had one. I think it was a vanilla. I think it might have been called Vanilla Vibes or something like that. They've done a few that have been quite well known, but I've always been a little bit disappointed with the performance. But I have to say, with what they've done with charities, I didn't know this. I don't know if you did, but I'm super impressed. Mental health, it's a big thing. I did a video on mental health recently. I think everyone suffered with mental health issues in their life, and we just kind of have to get by in difficult times. They've actually launched their own registered charity in the past, and they've donated over £2 million, over £2 million for mental health charities. They set up these charity gardens. Again, it's all about being out in nature. Joe Malone actually does quite those naturalistic type scents, again, beachy vibes, and just being out in the forest, the springtime. They do really well with that, and they've set up these charity gardens to get people outside. And let's be honest, being out in nature is great for your mind. That's why I do my running. That's why I enjoy it a lot. They've given money to charities like UNICEF, and yeah, they've done lots of things regarding mental health. So a lot of community projects they've been involved in. Joe Malone, fantastic. Again, it's really nice to see brands branching out in this way. And again, it doesn't have to be a fragrance brand. Many brands do this thing. But yeah, donated to a lot of mental health charities and set up a lot of initiatives. So we'll all benefit from that. You never know who's going to suffer. A lot of people suffer in silence. If a charity like Joe Malone, or if a brand like Joe Malone can support these charities, I think that's brilliant. And I do want to try some of their fragrances. So let me know if there's any fragrances from Joe Malone, hopefully more unisex one, but I'm happy to try a feminine fragrance. Let me know if there's any I should try, and we can always do a fitness fragrance review of those. So it is still raining. It's not going to stop today. So I'm still going to walk down to the gym because it's not too windy. I'll take an umbrella. Next, we will look at, now this is a brand called, I think it's pronounced Demeter or Demeter. They've done some interesting fragrances in the past, but they released a line that I think, yeah, we should talk about today and reflect on because it's for a good cause. We are on our way to the gym. It is chucking it down. But anyway, let's get on to the third cause, the third initiative, the third thing that a brand is doing really good things for. And this is a cause or an illness, a disease that's probably going to affect a lot of people in their lifetime. 1 in 2 people, unfortunately, get cancer. And I'm sure you know family members, friends who have suffered with it and probably are suffering with it right now. It's on the up, and in some ways you can look at that in 2 ways, because obviously that's not a good sign. I think people are living a bit more unhealthy, but detection's improving. And certainly one cancer that's really prominent at the moment, it affects a lot of men, but the detection is certainly improving, is prostate cancer. And this brand, Demeter, again, I've spoken about them a couple of times, and I think they do some unique scents. I think they're like a little niche brand. I do need to have a look at them in more detail, but I think they replicate smells like old books, and yeah, they just make fragrances that smell a little bit different from the norm. So we will check them out in more detail at some point. But a collection they've done, and it's one I'd love to buy as well, is they've done a prostate cancer collection. Essentially, I think it's nothing too unique, these fragrances. I think their smells like patchouli. I think they're quite, individual notes. But essentially, if you buy them, I believe they donate a sort of percentage of that to prostate cancer charities. And also, it's just really to raise awareness. And I think it's great. Look, if you can sell a collection and have a bit of a motivation behind it as well, brilliant. And that's what I think this brand does. They go and try and do something a little bit different. And if they're doing it for good causes like prostate cancer, that's great. I said prostate cancer, everyone knows the little man badge that you can get for it. And detection's really improving with that one. My dad, I think there's a charity that reaches out that gives you like 3 blood tests when you're over 55, and he has that every year. Again, it affects a lot of older men. Again, a lot of people just tend to live with it. But yeah, it is on the rise. So it's one of those ones, yeah, if you can raise any more awareness through different means, and if that's through fragrances, I think that's brilliant. So yeah, that is the third cause. Well done to them, donating through fragrance sales. And again, it's a different idea, but it's an idea I appreciate. So if I can buy that one, if I can find it, obviously you'll see it on the screen now. Yeah, maybe check it out. Maybe do your good deed as well, because every time we buy those things, it's going to a good cause, and that's what I want it to do. So I'm sure, like me, a lot of you buy your fragrances online because they tend to be a little bit cheaper. And actually, when you think of it, there isn't a huge amount of perfume fragrance shops out there. But the perfume shop is one. They have an online website, but if you go to like shopping malls, they're everywhere. There's quite a few of them as well, and you tend to get like a free gift, which I really like with those ones. So I've got, that isn't snot, by the way, that is rain dripping off my umbrella. It's got a hole in it. But yes, so I thought I'd talk about this perfume shop because they also have raised money for great causes. Now I'm sure you've been in plenty of, you know, pharmacy supermarkets where you get to the till and they say add a £1 donation, you know, when you're paying by card. And every year annually the perfume shop do this donations for Alzheimer's or dementia. Dementia affects a lot of people as well, and they have looked at cancer in particular, but I wanted to talk about Alzheimer's and dementia because they've raised approximately 1.6 million for Alzheimer's over the years. And again, this is a disease that's on the up because people are living longer, so they're living longer with these, you know, memory loss and all. You know, it's horrible when you don't recognise a family member. But yes, they do initiatives every year where, again, you go to the till, you can pay like a £1 donation extra to raise money for that cause. And I think it's great that shops do that, you know, and that's a simple way, you know, just on the end of your purchase. Oh, do you want to donate £1 to, you know, Alzheimer's UK, or, you know, all these brands, Alzheimer's Society, all these really good, important charities. I believe they also did a gift wrap, from what I was reading, something along those lines, where you could sort of buy this gift wrap and it would, you know, the money that you pay for that wrap would go to good causes as well. And again, it's a disease that's going to affect a lot of people, so that's just a really nice, simple way that a shop, it doesn't have to be, again, be a fragrance shop, can just raise those extra funds. And I think what I read, according to science as well, so there's a little bit of scientific research that kind of backs this up. One of the first things that develops when you develop Alzheimer's disease is you lose your sense of smell. So there is a link to fragrances as well, which maybe brings it home a little bit more. Obviously, I did my video about my nan the other day, and she would recognise certain perfumes. My mum bought her a favourite perfume once, and it's just a good way of just jogging that memory, just bringing you back to some of those old times, because that's so important. Whether you've got Alzheimer's or not, I love looking back at old things. I look back at some of my, you know, greatest successes when I was younger, some of the trophies I won in darts or football, and it just makes you feel happy, doesn't it, looking at old photos. And if it's just an old smell, I love buying some of my first fragrances again, because it's that little bit of nostalgia, and if it can strengthen those memories and again reduce some of those nasty, horrible effects of Alzheimer's disease, then brilliant. So well done to the perfume shop. Again, a really good initiative. It's good to see that, again, it's a simple thing, just paying a little bit extra, but if everyone put £1 away every day who goes in that shop, we're going to raise a lot of money in the long run. So over 1.6 million raised. Well done to them. So yeah, we've got one more cause which I'll talk about on the way back after the gym. Just left the gym. It is time to do the final category. You can tell that rain has really settled into the day. The flooding is terrible, but it's the fragrance foundation. Now, I've mentioned the fragrance foundation before because they do like fragrance awards. They do a big annual awards where they sort of vote best luxury fragrances, the best niche fragrances, all these sorts of things really. But they also have a giving back campaign. So every year they kind of have a charity or a cause to support. And one they've done in the past is autism. Now, autism, I think, affects, again, a lot of people, and it's a bit of a complex one. I think some people probably don't truly understand it. Obviously, through my line of work, through working in primary schools, also my best friend at school was called Simon. He had a form of Asperger's, or a form of autism called Asperger's, and he was a very bright boy and just thought in a different way. You know, they have their own unique traits, but for a lot of people it's a superpower. But autism can present itself in so many different ways. I've seen it in schools. I've worked with children who are non-verbal. I've worked with some where it's very obvious they've got some sort of, you know, autism. They're quite snappy. They just speak differently. They communicate differently. And, you know, but again, other than that, absolutely fine. They can function in a classroom, no problem at all. Some are extremely quiet, and it's only at home they present those behaviours, and you wouldn't actually believe they act that way. So autism just comes in very, very different ways. You can be quite obsessive with things. I think that's another common trait. And yeah, it's a very complex behaviour, but it's growing. There's a lot of children who suffer with autism. A lot of children have probably been misdiagnosed over the years, and yeah, it's a big problem. But they, through their initiatives that they've done, the Fragrance Foundation, they have a giving back campaign. I believe they teamed up with Next for that one to do the autism initiative. So really good idea from them. And again, it's a problem that affects so many people, and if they can use their foundation, I believe they must be a charity as well, so they obviously support charities, but I think being called a foundation probably means they are, a charity in their own right. So doing a different initiative every year to support a different campaign, I think is really important, because let's be honest, different seasons, different times, things matter more. I think COVID was particularly a tough time for a lot of people, and mental health really took the spotlight then. So changing times, different initiative each year, I think it's brilliant. But yeah, they are the 5. So I hope you enjoyed this one today. Again, very, very sort of different one, and I'd like to kind of do something myself through the channel this year. So some ideas, if you've got any ideas of maybe a campaign we should support, maybe we can have a little look at that this year, and maybe find a way of doing some sort of fundraising or awareness type video that hopefully can help someone out. Because I think something I like to do is I like to help individuals. For me, sometimes when you support a big charity, and I don't mean this in a negative way at all, because it's great that people donate to cancer research, sometimes you never know where your donation goes. So if we can support a specific person, or again maybe a smaller charity, I think that'd be a great idea. So yeah, let me know your ideas, let me know how you think I could do that, or how we could do that as a channel together, because again, it's really nice to see that a lot of you interact with my videos each day. So yeah, give me your ideas and we can do that. But yeah, well done to those bands, those businesses, those foundations, those charities that are supporting it. And I hope that's given you a little insight into the good things in the fragrance world that maybe we don't always think about. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. I'll catch you later.